traded up. Sorry about that. You guys probably knew I was going to do it anyway, didn't you?
More than you think.
What's that?
You lie more than you believe.
I didn't lie. I just didn't. I didn't know he would be there. I didn't know he'd be there.
Did you know you were lying at the time?
Zero. I had some, people calling about the pick. So I think if Dalton was not there, we were going to trade back. But we had a good feeling that Dallas would take him, and we just really liked him and just felt he would be a great fit in our offense. He is a tight end, but he is a receiving tight end. We think he'll pair well with Dawson and give us another target in the middle of the field. So yeah, when him and Dawson are in the game, you're in 12, but it's quasi like 11 anyway. It's not like he's not your standard wide tight end. He's going to be flexed out a lot more than necessarily you would do with Dawson. Not really. It was more how we saw Dalton, and that he, we knew it was going to come down to maybe there's a receiver there left, maybe he's there left. We weren't sure. And you asked me 5 picks before we picked, I still would have told you we're going to trade down. I thought he was going to get taken, but yeah, we were. I called the Giants and they talked about it, and then they let me know they were going to trade up. So as soon as I heard that, I called Jacksonville, and right away they weren't sure, and they waited till they got on the clock, talked it through, and got it done.
There's been a lot of mixed signals on the wide receiver class. Some people like some of the guys at the top. Some people haven't loved it. What was your kind of opinion on it now that you've come to yourself?
Yeah, there's really good players. There were some different ones. You got the Ohio State kid, really good inside, could play outside too, but you're probably going to specialize with him inside. You got a couple of smaller guys. Zay Flowers is a rack guy. Addison can play inside and play out. Zay's probably more inside, but you can play outside. And then Johnson's a big outside, vertical stretch player. All of them have kind of different skill sets, but good group. And there's still more as you kind of move down the draft board.
Dalton's skill set. Could you go a little deeper into what
Yeah.
what his best traits are?
Elite hands, really good route runner, good feel, setting up guys inside. There's always the card telling you as a player what to do, 8 yards here, there, but sometimes the defense changes, and this guy's got great feel, great instinct. You guys saw it from a different position. Cole Beasley, great feel. This guy in a different body type does that, but he's, I would say the number one thing about him: elite hands, good route runner, separation ability at the top of the route.
You have historically, since you've been here, gone after tight ends who were wide tight ends.
Yep.
Tommy Sweeney and all, OJ and everybody.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of a departure for you.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's just I think he pairs well in our offense. He's something we don't have. Like I said, if we're in 12, when he's in the game, generally when you're in 12, if you've got 2 wide tight ends, you're going to get base defense. When he's in the game, we're going to get nickel as if we're in 11. So it's just a different style player. 6'3", just under 250. He's not a receiver, but he's more of a receiver. We're not going to be having him block a lot of 6-techs.
He had a back injury at the end of last season, kept him out of the combine, and I think out of their pro day too.
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys were okay with the medical on him?
Yeah. Our docs cleared him, checked all that through, and we compare grades, around the league as well, and he was definitely cleared.
You talked about the
Can you
lack
give
of
us some
picks.
insight into maybe how things fell relative to your board? You had indicated in your pre-draft that you didn't have a lot of first-round grades necessarily, and along with other teams, obviously, but you had said you'd trade down if he wasn't there. Where did things stack up relative to maybe some of the other defensive players that were still?
Yeah, us trading up tells you how we valued him, without me being specific. But, there's defensive players around, but he was the best player on our board, by our opinion. Yeah.
Did those first four receivers go off the board? Did you have first-round grades in all of them, or 2, 3? Just give us a number on them.
Yeah. No, but I'm not going to give you the number. I know that I did not have them all there, but at the same time, I'm not going to tell you how many.
How hard was it to move up those 2 spots? I know how much you like Dalton from what you're saying.
Yes.
But giving up that pick, knowing how few you have.
Yeah, hard for sure, but I would have. We were definitely picking a little bit of a gap down after him, and if I thought he would have got to us, I was going to be patient. But it was the one player that I felt strongly that the team in front of us had a lot of love for.
You mentioned that you can see Dalton and Dawson being on the field at the same time, but Dawson's coming off a year where you guys just paid him. There is going to be some talk about what this potentially means for him. So in your mind, what does this mean for Dawson in terms of his usage?
Yeah, I don't want to get into the usage part because this guy's got to come in here and learn our offense. He'll be a rookie. It's going to take him time. I think that's to be determined. I think it's just another weapon for Dorsey. Dawson's going to still be very involved. Like I said, Dawson will play more of that traditional Y. He'll play more of the F for us. So, like I said, it'll just be a different package. But Dawson's is a clearly better inline blocker, still a receiving threat. So I don't think Dawson's going to be going anywhere.
Brandon, how important was it did you feel that you needed to address your pass catching needs and to spread the ball out more, have another threat in your passing game for Josh?
Yeah, we hoped in the draft that somewhere. I mean, there's more guys that could help as well if we didn't land it tonight. So it's not like we had to do it tonight, but we just we felt strongly about Dalton and his skill set and what he would add to this offense. So anytime you can add a weapon, for your quarterback and your offense, you don't pass that up unless there's just someone clearly better.
This feels like something you've kind of been after for a little while. Like when you brought O.J. Howard in last year, Jacob Hollister. Does this kind of go a couple years back maybe of what you wanted to kind of do with the offense, and now you have the guy that really fits into that?
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking for another tight end. I can tell you, when we just drafted Cam Newton in Carolina the first year, we had Jeremy Shockey, and then we traded for Greg Olson in camp, just 2 guys to work the middle of the field. 12 was one of our stronger personnels. We're a more 11 team, but again, this guy, I would say we're in kind of like 11 and a half when he's in the game. It's not 2 true Ys, as I mentioned earlier. So, again, a piece that can work the inside of the field for us, and we'll be excited to get him here. Really, like I said, really good hands.
And do you see him like growing as a blocker in your strength and conditioning program with your coaches, and how all that might actually go through his career through the next few years?
Yeah, we'll definitely work on that. Rob Boris is a great teacher, great technician. Rob's been here the whole time we've been here. Great instructor for these guys, and that will be one of the first things that he's not going to need to teach him how to catch the ball or run routes. That's probably the thing that we would say we want to see improvement on, but we're not going to major in that with him. It'd be more, do enough just to keep the defense honest.
Did he, he had a great year this year. Did he elevate, or what were there moments this year that that stood out to you, maybe USC?
The USC game, I mean, we were watching him as a group a couple of weeks ago with the scouts, and we were going through. It was one of the segments where we just went through all his targets, and we were like, "Are these the same play?" Like it just kept going and going, and you're amazed at how many catches he had in one game, and the defense didn't adjust in that game to kind of slow him down. But no, he definitely was a guy that we didn't have rated as high as we ended up. He definitely elevated himself as the season went on.
You mentioned that you didn't have a lot of first-round grades on players. Moving ahead, going to the second round, looking at that, where's the range there of guys that you have second-round grades on? Is
Yeah.
it much bigger
It's more. It's more. So I think there will be a decent chance where we're at 59 to, to get someone late 2 or top of 3 price. Hopefully late 2.
Would there be a potential to maybe get some draft capital
Back. Yeah. I did that last year there. We moved back a couple times and got some 6. I know one of those we got Benford with. So yeah, we'll see what's on the board tomorrow and follow it. Excited we at least got 2 picks. Yeah, I mean I didn't want to lose. I didn't want to have to give up a pick, but I would have been more disappointed with him that close to not be able to get him.
Giving up that 4th-round pick, but let's go back to guys that you said that didn't have too much of a 1st-round grade. Did Jack Campbell have a 1st-round grade?
I'm not gonna give you that. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you. Yeah.